Before we get started, I want to go over materials that you can use for the ink wash. I understand that many of you are not going to be able to get to the store to buy these materials. If you have the resources, you can order them online from the websites that I linked in the assignment. You can also use whatever materials you have. I understand that this is going to be kind of a difficult assignment, but these are the materials that I'm going to be using, and if you are able to duplicate these, it would be a good idea. So I have a range of brushes here that I want to describe, and the first ones that I want to describe are basically watercolor brushes that can be also used for ink. This is the Black Gold brand, Dynasty Black Gold, but you can use whatever kind of brushes you can get a hold of. At this stage, you may have to use cheap craft watercolor brushes. That's okay, it's just for this project. You want to get them in various sizes. Each company has a different numbering system, but you want to get a big one, a medium one, a small one for details, and maybe a few in between, but at least three. A big one, a medium one, and a small one. Also, if you have them available, you might want to use these wash brushes. Now you can tell because they look like regular oil painting brushes, but these are watercolor brushes as well because they have a clear handle and they also have this kind of beveled edge to them. That will clearly tell you that they are watercolor brushes. These are good for very broad, flat areas of laying down ink and watercolor. If you want, you can also get what's known as a mop brush. These are usually pretty expensive, and I don't recommend them because the hairs come out a lot. And you'll use it to cover big, large areas, and then you'll find hairs in your watercolor and you have to pick it out, or your ink wash and you'll have to pick it out. And, you know, they're just, I don't particularly like them, but maybe you do. What I've found to work pretty well is, believe it or not, makeup brushes. Usually you can find these at the Meijer's or a grocery store. You can get them at a place where you buy makeup like Sally's Boutique, and I've found that these are cheaper than the standard wash brushes, and they work just as well. So something to consider. I'm also using Higgins brand India ink. Actually, it's just Higgins Black. It is non-waterproof. The reason I like the non-waterproof ink is because it will stay wet longer, it won't dry as quickly, and you can move it around if you need to blend edges and blend areas of your watercolor. If you only have waterproof ink, that's okay. If you have a different brand like Dr. Martin's pH, those work as well. You can even use acrylic inks if you'd like, although those dry very, very rapidly. So be aware of that. As far as where you're going to create these washes and what you're going to hold your ink in, you've got a few different options. You can buy these very cheap plastic trays or something similar to it. This is a Dr. P.H. Martin's. They're just little, basically small circular receptacles that you can put water and ink in. They're very cheap. They probably cost about $2 a piece. You can also purchase a large watercolor tray or a small one. They come a little, about half size of these as well. If you're going to be required to take the watercolor class somewhere in your illustration program, so you are eventually going to have to buy one of these. Might be a good idea. This one, I believe, is a little bigger than 11 by 15, so somewhere in that range. I haven't measured it. But this is the tray that I'm going to be using during this demonstration. You also want a couple of receptacles for cleaning your water and dipping your your brushes in clean water. So I've got 2 containers here. As you can see, one is already dirty because I did some practice ink strokes. This is the one that you would clean your brush off if you need to switch the amount of ink that you're going to be having in your brush, and then clean water to dip a clean brush in so that you get it wet.